Welcome to Campfire Wisdom. Grab a seat around the fire and tell us your story.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Campfire Wisdom. Last week we left off at the end of day one of the hunt. We rode around all day on Huasna Ranch, and Huasna Ranch is actually known as, historically, Rancho Huasna. That's spelled Huasna. I actually looked it up. It was kind of interesting. I was looking up Wazna and all this kind of stuff, and I was like, oh, maybe it's spelled this way, and it sure is. It's actually pretty cool side note here. It's actually a 22,000 acre land grant that was given to this guy named Isaac J. Sparks in 1843. So anyways, huge amount of land. It's been split up over the family, obviously, in the years gone by, but there's definitely a lot of history there. Pretty cool. But anyways, back to the story. Like I alluded to last week, something happened as we were packing up. So Nick and I decided to meet over the internets, and we swapped stories. So check it out.
All right, I'm on the phone with Greg Stutzy, who was on the camping trip. Greg, your sole purpose of this phone call is to tell me what happened, that mystery moment when we were leaving Huasna Ranch. Huasna, right? I think it was Huasna.
Yeah, you got it, man. So, you know what? It's not a very proud moment, I will say. Yeah, so essentially we wrapped, and I basically was driving down the road. We were fucking exhausted because I think what we may want to say beforehand is the drive up there, we drove for freaking 2 hours to get to this spot. And then we were looking around for the pigs and we couldn't find them. So we wrapped our things up. The sun was going down. Essentially, it was like that twilight hour. And we're driving. So it's me and Matt, and we're behind you guys, Nick and Matt, and then Mike. And we're probably maybe 25 minutes out away from Ty's house. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know where my gun is. And I just had this feeling that I felt disconnected. And so I was like, hey, Matt, do you see it back there on the floor? And so he looks back, shines a light. No, I don't see it. So I pull over real quick, and I feel bad because I didn't signal you guys. I thought I would just be in a seat somewhere and then I would find it. Well, open the back door, shine a light, and of course, nothing's there. So I'm like, fuck.
I'm going to play some audio from the basically the last thing I said before we packed up. And I want you to hear for a distinct metal clink clunk sound as I put my H&K on the roof of my car. So you can actually hear it happening right here. All right, so we were not successful today, but we will attempt in the morning. Meanwhile, we're going to pack up right now and head back to camp and go from there. Okay, now back to the story.
I remember the last thing I did was I took it off my waist, and I remember that vividly because I was like, oh, that came off really easy. I put it on the roof of the car, and then I saw you and Matt like unpacking, and I was like, oh, here's one little bit where I can just get one little outro interview. So I went over to you guys, get an interview. It got darker, and then I just totally spaced it. I put it there. So lo and behold, I'm like hitting panic mode because A, I love that gun. B, you don't want to lose your gun and have somebody get it and use it for nefarious purposes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And what kind of gun is it?
So it's an H&K USB Compact 45. So it's a beauty. It's probably would cost about $1,000 to replace that.
A nice gun for sure.
It's definitely a nice gun, and it shoots straight, and I'm good with it. So it's like, oh, I didn't want to lose it. So we drive back, and so in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is a heavy piece of metal. It had to have fallen off like right when we turned in the dirt road or something like that. So I'm not even really looking much because I'm like, okay, let's wait till we get back to the dirt road. So we hit the dirt road, and Matt and I start in earnest. And so it's probably a good, maybe, gosh, half a mile of dirt roads. Actually, no, more than that, because we're talking about that road where the weed is too. So it's probably a good mile. It's probably a mile a mile dirt road. So we hit that, shining flashlights on the side of the road, looking for it. I'm like, didn't see it. And we're rolling up to Ty's house. I'm like, yeah, it's probably just right there in the parking lot. So we roll up and nothing's there. So I'm like, oh, fuck, where is this? So I was like, okay, Ty picked it up. Ty grabbed it. So Ty noticed us pulled up, and I was like, dude, I lost my gun. He's like, oh, my God. He totally understood. So he got in his gator, and he kind of helped us look. So we proceeded to backtrack through 3 cattle gates. So keep in mind, these are, they're super rough cattle gates. We're shining our lights in the pits of the cattle gates, looking for them. And I'm like, there's no way someone must have grabbed it, right? Someone had to have grabbed it. So we get back to all the gates, even remember the wooden bridge we went over?
Yeah.
I thought maybe it would have rattled off there and fallen. So we're looking in the crevices there and all that and don't find it. So I'm like in the dumps. We hit the road, and I can't ask Ty to help anymore because he's already been helping us. It's like now it's been about an hour since we left you guys on the road.
Right. And at this point, we're looking for you tirelessly and terrified.
Yeah, you're like, where the fuck did these guys go, right?
Yeah. We thought you crashed and burned, and I thought I was going to have to call your wife and my brother's wife and tell them that not only did we not catch anything, but I lost your husbands.
Yes.
They're gone.
Did you ever think we were abducted by aliens? Did it ever enter your mind?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, back to the story. So then we get there, and I'm like bummed. By the way, your brother is like, we're gonna find it. And I'm like, oh, dude, I'm just preparing myself for the worst because I'm like, oh shit, I think I lost my gun. You know what I mean? I think it's gone.
Right.
Just because I'm trying to like wrestle with the fact that could be the case. So I look closer at my car and I can see the slide marks where it slid off the roof. I'm like, okay, so it slid off the left-hand side, the driver's side. So it has to be on that side. It has to be when I took a turn. So just cruising really slow. And of course, I can't check every single bit of mile, but literally on that first turn, the first turn where you go up a hill and you go down after that last cattle gate, it was there on the side in the bush, just sitting right there. And I was like, I shined a light on. I was like, I found it, and I yelled out this like battle cry. I was like, yes, because I was just so elated. And of course, it took a couple dings, like nothing that's going to be like deal breaker or anything on it, but it's got a little more character on it now. So, but lo and behold, when it's all said and done, we persevered. We found it. Matt was instrumental in being positive and making sure we found it. And yeah, man, that could have been a really dark time, a really dark way to go for the trip.
Yes.
But I'm just glad we found it, man.
Yeah, and we went up and from our side, we went up and down the road about 2 times, and we must have just missed you when you went back into the ranch. And then we must have just missed you when you came out of the ranch because we were looking for like taillights and ditches. Like it was that dire. We were like, let's look for emergency lights, car wreck. It was brutal. And of course you're stressed after a long day anyway. That was that just tacked onto it. But we were super happy when we found you. And I know Mike was pissed, but he obviously is like our hunting guide, so he couldn't really say anything. So he was very nice about it. But I think he was pretty worried. But I think he probably just thought these are couple assholes in a Prius, like of course they got lost.
Yep. Well, and I felt like it's a complete schmuck because it's like I'm very like trustworthy with my gun. I keep it safe. I clean it. I have it in a safe spot, and I'm the jackass who leaves it on the roof of the car. I felt like a complete nimrod.
Yeah,
so.
It's okay though. But you are the most responsible of all of us, and you were recording audio, which is imperative to the story. So it's all good. But I just wanted because of your adventure with your gun, we got back to camp super late, and that's why we were super tired, and I already have all that audio, but I just wanted to get your story here on the phone from
from the source. Yeah,
source. Yeah.
And I got to do a mea culpa. I got to share this story with on my podcast because I think it's an important lesson to make sure you are being mindful. That's something I always talk about, being in the moment and being present, but in some cases, even your best efforts, you fall flat. So it's a good lesson.
It happens to the best of us. All right, Greg, thanks for coming on, dude.
You got it, man. Peace.
By the time we got back to our campsite, we were exhausted. It was nearly 1 o'clock, and we had to be up at 4:30 for the hunt for the next day. So obviously, we wasted no time getting into our respective bedrolls and basically just kind of said goodnight.
Okay. It's 12:52 in the morning, and we're about to go to bed. We're all getting tucked in. We got skunked today, and it was a long day. A lot of driving in our first day of hunting, as brother Matt was talking about earlier. So just a lot of driving today, and we're all fucking wiped. It's 12:52, and we have to wake up at 4:30. So that is the update. We're wiped.
Well, everybody, that about wraps it up for me tonight on beat. It's been a long day. We've been driving around quite a bit, but there's more to be done tomorrow, so stay tuned for day 2 of the hunt. Meanwhile, I'm going to say goodbye from my cozy hammock. I am right now set up between 2 trees on the side of this bass pond, listening to the crickets. So I wish you good night. I hope that you are finding the time to get outside, get outdoors, find your reason to make it happen, and wake up beneath the stars. So until next time, enjoy the sound of the crickets, and you take care. Bye-bye.
Oh, Bill, I told you why. Bill, I told you when. All things said, all things done. You just don't do it again. Oh, baby, it's in your head. It's only in your head. Oh, after what you done, after what you said, all that crying, that line. Oh, it's only in your head. Oh, it's only in your head.
Campfire Wisdom is brought to you from the hills of Rancho Cucamonga. We'd like to thank the men and women that protect our national parks and forests. You make this journey possible. Theme music by Sean Cromwell.